Greetings, young scholars, and welcome to Info 3205, Meeting 25. February 5th, we are again touching on Adobe Illustrator. If you hop into Blackboard, you'll notice up at the top here, Drawing and Composing an Illustration. If you click and download that zip file and extract, you will notice this PowerPoint slideshow provided, and you can navigate and read through to provide some information on some of the basics, drawing curved lines, smoothing points, etc., anchor points, as it relates to drawing and composing illustrations. You'll notice on slide 17 here, we have this scan sketch for reference or tracing. And you'll notice I posted a copy of it on Blackboard. As a practice for you, we're going to copy that image into our Adobe Illustrator later on in this lecture and show you how to navigate image trace and also show you how the paintbrush provides us with an even better option for specifically tracing an object that's already created as an image. So if you open up Adobe Illustrator and select a new file, we're going to again select letter as we did last week and create. This provides us with a letter page size. So first things first this week, we're going to utilize the pen and curvature tools. So right here, the third selection is our pen tool. So we can draw lines with our pen tool by simply dragging and dropping. You'll notice, however, that our certain paths curve depending on where we go. That is because of these anchor points. So you see here at the end of this line, we have this anchor point. If I go up, it's a straight line. If I go across, it's a straight line. Down, if it's a straight line. However, based on the way in which you navigate these points, the anchor may curve. See, I selected, it's still back on the previous anchor point. So now when I go up and corner, it's curved. If I hold this, it now sticks on that new anchor point. If I hold down, the point now curves with the pen tool. Because I'm still selected on the previous anchor point, it now curves again. But since I'm now on the new one, wherever I go, new anchor point, and we could use these continuously to create any random shape we would like. So there I technically created a triangle. We could also consider this to be a rectangle, and you can continue on and on using the pen tool to make any random lines that you so choose. The tool below it, the pen tool, is called the curvature tool. This automatically curves any line you create and can help you in creating circles, connect different points on your specific drawing. So notice here that changed We can also modify the width of these tools. You'll see here stroke. By increasing the stroke to 3 points, we increase the size of our specific tool. We can also rotate our specific design. In this case, 60%. It modified and moved some of our graphs, our drawing off of the page. So we could change 30%, 90%, 120%. Ideally, we want to have our entire drawing on the page. So flipping it 180% keeps it back on the page. Next, we're going to demonstrate this tool here called the Shape Builder tool. Right now, we just have a bunch of random lines that basically have done nothing. They're just kind of like a Picasso, if you will. It's kind of all over the place. So when we select Shape Builder and we select certain areas of our drawing, it can turn them into a shape. We can also use the transform to move, rotate, reflect, etc. if you right click. We can also select multiple pieces within the drawing by holding down our mouse, which now creates one shape as a whole. And let's say we wanted to fill this in red. Or we could also change to paintbrush stroke, which would change the color of the outside as well. If we wanted to expand the width of our lines, we'd use the width tool here. We'd grab a specific anchor point and drag it out. Let's do this one here too. Drag it out. And that can also help us build specific shapes as we so choose as well. By increasing the width of our anchor lines, it tries to mimic the overall shape and builds a new shape over that specific line we've already created. Additionally, we can utilize what is called the dimension tool. It's this tool here that looks kind of like a ruler with a little bump on it. If we select that and we select specific anchor points, we can now determine the length between the 2 points. So in this case, our anchor here and our anchor at the bottom of this triangle is 65 points. If we wanted to measure this anchor to this anchor, it tells us it's 180.99 points. Now, this is much easier to do when you have specific lines you've created, but you'll see as long as you have an anchor, one anchor to another, you can determine the length between the two lines. So between this anchor and this other anchor on the right-hand side, it's a much bigger length, as obviously you can see on the screen here. So again, we have our specific basics, very easy, basic stuff we are doing during this course. So now we're going to see the trace option. So if we do File, New, again, we'll create a letter, Create, and we now copy this image from Blackboard. Right-click, Copy Image, go in Illustrator, Control-V or Paste. You paste this image onto your screen. If you go to Window and then select Image Trace, you'll notice you now have the option to trace this image. However, the new color trace, when you trace the image, it doesn't really give you too many options. So what we do instead is we're going to select our paintbrush tool. Now, normally you want to put a fill of colors in. When you're using the paintbrush, instead we go over here to stroke. And we'll click this box here that has the red slash through it. And we'll select red just so we can see exactly what we're doing here. I'm going to increase the stroke to 3 points. And you'll see here with the paintbrush, we can utilize the paintbrush to trace around the image just like we did with our trace option. However, because this is a different color, the paintbrush, we changed it to be red, it's much easier to see that we're actually doing something here. So we've gone ahead, traced our image. Obviously, depending on how you use your mouse, it may not be perfect, but that's perfectly fine. You can then go ahead and use the eraser tool to erase any of the black lines from the original image that you feel you don't want to use. And then you could go ahead and fill in these areas as you so choose. So say this is a beach ball, and you turn it blue. You'd go ahead and fill that in. And as I've been providing each week, additionally, you have additional YouTube videos to watch and look through to provide you basically the same concepts I'm showing you, but a little more advanced if you so choose to use them. Bear in mind this evening, we will be meeting on Zoom to discuss in essence, everything but the 4 homework assignments related to Illustrator, InDesign, Dreamweaver, Photoshop. So once you do all those 4 assignments, you're going to work with your team members to create a website presentation on it and then assess how that group did. And we are going to discuss that on the evening of 2/5.